Welcome to Pro Talk with the Mighty Oba with our NFL insider, my main man, George Radney from the Challenger Community News. We're going to talk about what happened in the NFL this week. The hometown team, the Buffalo Bills, probably played the game of the week against the Baltimore Ravens, but came up on the short end of the stick and lost 24-17. George, how you doing?
Hey, all right. Welcome, Mighty Oba. All right, I'm ready for another week. Here we go.
All right, towards the end, I want all of you to get your pens and pencils out as we go through the betting line with George. We're going to talk about the upcoming games, but first we're going to review the games from last week. And the games from last week, of course, let's start with the Buffalo Bills and Baltimore Ravens. What happened to the Buffalo Bills in this contest?
Same thing that happened to them against New England. They ran up against a very good football team. Now, these are the legitimate, really good teams of the NFL. And once again, our quarterback position let us down. Josh Allen has no touch on the ball. He throws the ball way too hard. Cole Beasley was open. He couldn't hit him. The ball bounced off of Cole Beasley's hands. He threw one in the flat to Devin Singletary that Devin Singletary dropped, and he dropped it because he threw it too hard. He threw it low, and it was too hard. You can't throw the ball that hard. You got to have some touch. Excuse me. First series of the game, he missed John Brown on the deep ball. John Brown still couldn't find the ball. The defensive back had to tell him where the ball landed.
Wow.
He's just so inaccurate. It's mind-boggling how inaccurate this guy is.
Now, George, let me ask you this. We went in the Ravens locker room, and they were talking about their strategy of press coverage against our small receivers. Do you think that exposed John Brown against press coverage? It seemed that him and Cole Beasley struggled against press coverage.
Yes, they were physical. They're a physical football team. They got physical with the Smurfs. I call them the Smurfs. They just easily bumped them off their routes. And when they moved Marcus Peters onto the cover John Brown, that was the end of John Brown, because John Brown was taking advantage of Marlon Humphreys early in the game. But when they made that defensive switch, that was it for John Brown.
And, what can you say about our defense? I don't understand why a lot of them ran out of the locker room, including my main man, Shaq Lawson. I thought Shaq played his best game. But they don't like to talk after a loss. They run out of the locker room. I don't understand why.
I don't understand either. The guys played hard. They played enthusiastically, and they're very confident. They can beat anybody. It's just that they don't have a quarterback. And once again, that falls back on your general manager, that he doesn't have a quality backup to pull Allen and get somebody else in there who can maybe jumpstart the offense, at least get you a key touchdown or in field goal range to win a game.
Do you really think that they would pull Josh Allen? I think they've hung their hats on this kid, man. I think if Josh fails, they're gonna fail.
And that's ignorant. That's not how you win football games. You go to the next man and see if he can try and do something. Because Josh Allen, he wasn't gonna win you that game. He got you down there. You got that touchdown late in the game because of penalties. They called 3 or 4 penalties in a row on the Ravens. And Josh Allen, he just can't win you a big game against a good team. That's what it comes down to.
Now, what's happened with him and Robert Foster has been open the last 3 games. I even talked to him today. I said, we were amazed that you came back from that hamstring injury, but it seems that Josh can't hit Robert Foster on the long ball, and Robert has been open 2 or 3 times.
Yeah, he's throwing the ball so badly that the guys the receivers don't even see where the ball is at. That's how bad it's getting with Josh Allen. Josh Allen just throws it deep, and he doesn't even throw it close to the receiver. As soon as it leaves his hands, you see it's going in a different direction than the receiver.
Well, let's review the rest of the NFL. The week started. The Dallas Cowboys once again looked terrible against the Chicago Bears, lost that game 31-24, but believe it or not, they're still in the NFC East race.
Yes, they are. Eagles are in there against them.
Yeah, and also the Atlanta Falcons defeated the Carolina Panthers. Our guy Perry Fuel is the interim coach for the Carolina Panthers, but he did not have a good outing, and it looks like the rumors are starting to fly that Carolina is looking for a big trade of Cam Newton, who's about to have foot surgery probably in the next couple of days. So the injury bug is just on Cam Newton. He's got a bad Liz Frank injury on that foot, and looks like that him and the Carolina Panthers could be parting company.
And that's what happens when you say you're Superman and you're running through a brick wall. When you run through a brick wall, you're going to have some injuries, and that's what he was doing his first 4 or 5 years in the league, just running over people. But then they started hitting him and started knocking him back, and now he done had his shoulder operated on twice. Now he done had his foot. This is from not sliding, not going out of bounds, getting that ego, that big ego of being Superman. And like you said, I think you said it on the show last week, that ever since the Super Bowl 50 out in Santa Clara, California, when he didn't turn around to try to dive on that fumble, he hasn't been the same ever since that play.
Right. Definitely not. All right, the Cleveland Browns defeated the hapless Cincinnati Bengals, who have been the beneficiary of conversation this week. People think that the New England Patriots was trying to spy on a team that's 1-12 from the press box. George, will you tell people if you're going to spy on a team, I'm not going to send a film crew up to the press box?
No, you're not. You're not going to send a film crew up to the press box. But I think, of course, when they sent the film crew, the people asked about it. And the thing about it, I don't understand. If Cleveland going to give the okay for them to have credentials, they should at least mention it to the other team, to the Bengals and the other team involved, that they're going to have a camera, because that's rare that you don't see a camera up in the press box.
Very rarely. You very rarely you see that. And obviously, I guess it was some sort of production that had nothing to do with the day-to-day operations of any of the football teams, including the New England Patriots, who were part of it, but it was not the day-to-day operation type of film. So I really, I had somebody ask me today, I said, I really don't think Belichick needs to spy on a 1-12 Cincinnati Bengal team.
No, I don't think so either. And I think that's just because it's New England, and Cleveland wanted to be up on it, and Cincinnati just said, hey, what's going on, and filed the charge. And you know good and well he could care less about Cincinnati. Get ready for them and go out and play them, especially after losing to Kansas City Sunday afternoon. They're going to be real ready to play this week.
Now, the Green Bay Packers are playing well. I know they played a struggling Washington professional football team, but they did win that game 20-15. The Packers are vying for home field advantage throughout the playoffs, and that could be a key factor for them, isn't it?
Very dangerous team. There's a lot of dangerous teams in that NFC. Green Bay playing at home, playing outside on that frozen tundra. That Minnesota will be ready for them there. But the teams like New Orleans and San Francisco coming there, that could be very treacherous for those two teams.
Now, the Minnesota Vikings defeated the hapless Detroit Lions, who decided to fire Jim Caldwell, who led them to the playoffs. His last year, he was 9-7. They decided to fire him and bring in Matt Patricia, who is now 3-9-1. They lost to the Minnesota Vikings, who are 9-4, right in the thick of things, 20-7. How do you see that Minnesota Vikings team?
I think I had a feeling last year when Kirk Cousins played so poorly for them last year. I said, you give him the offseason, work with those same receivers and work for them, they would be much better this year. But then when he came out the gate slow again and not throwing the ball to these receivers, and they ended up going public with it, the two wide receivers talked about him so bad that he came out and apologized in the media to the receivers. And you can see ever since then, Kirk Cousins, the light then went off. The light switch then went off. He's playing his best football right now. And tell you what, Minnesota, keep an eye on them. They're another team that, you got about 5 teams that can make the legitimately make the Super Bowl from the NFC, and Minnesota is definitely one of them.
Definitely one of them. They've got a very good defense, and they have some excellent offensive weapons. Well, the game of the week I don't know what your over and under was, but I know it was over with
Yeah,
the
it was.
San
It was.
Francisco 49ers and the New Orleans Saints.
It was 47, and it was made at halftime. I think I mentioned it to you during the game when I saw it on the board. I said, "Oh my God, they had 48 points at halftime, so they done made the over already." So that was a heck of a game. Both teams. Defenses just didn't show up for whatever reason. And you have that. When you play 16 games, you get tired, you're traveling. Remember, San Francisco went back home and then came back early on a Friday to New Orleans. And they just and it was just, you're gonna have a down game. That's what it is. It's gonna happen. Your defense is gonna get tired sooner or later, and they both seem to be tired in that game. And one thing I noticed, Marcus Davenport, he hurt his foot in that game. Now they say he's out for the year. He's gonna have to have surgery. And that's a big loss on the defensive line for the defensive end for the New Orleans Saints.
Absolutely. There's some injuries that came out of that game on both sides of the ball, and that could hurt a lot of these teams coming down the stretch. Usually health does play a role, and one thing about the Buffalo Bills, health is one of the things that are on their side coming down the stretch this year.
Yeah, and one thing, Amadioba, about the Bills, if things go the way I think they're going to go with the next two games and then the last game, I would definitely bring in a quarterback back next year to push our guy. He got to get pushed.
Absolutely, he should be. Competition is the reason that you're out there. When you anoint someone as the starter and hang your hat on them, I think it just puts you in a bad position. And Matt Barkley, he is your backup. If the guy's stinking it up, he's supposed to be able to be the one you throw in. But we don't know if he's any better. How about the New York Jets, man? They're surging. They're 5-8. 5-8 and 22-21 over your Dolphins, who are 3-10. But we know the Jets do have some talent. They've got a lot of injuries also.
They do. They have a lot of guys. If they don't call it quits, which I don't think they are, I think with Le'Veon Bell being out last Sunday, and it was obvious Adam Gase should be fired because Adam Gase doesn't like Le'Veon Bell, he didn't want to pay that kind of money. He doesn't believe in paying that kind of money for a running back. And you saw what he did in New Orleans. He traded Kenyon Drake, and he traded Ajayi to the Eagles, and Ajayi ended up helping the Eagles win the Super Bowl that year, 2 years ago.
You mean when he's with Miami?
When he was with Miami, Adam Gase, yes. Adam Gase, when he was with Miami, he traded both starting high-quality running backs. He traded them when he was with Miami, and I think he wants to trade this guy because there's no reason. He's not giving them the ball. He's not giving Le'Veon Bell the ball, and it's a shame that he's almost as you can't say anything nice about Adam Gase. He doesn't know what he's doing. He has a big ego. Somebody told him he know what he know. He doesn't know much of anything about being a head coach in the National Football League.
Right. He's just a coordinator with a head coach title. I don't know how good of a coordinator he is. When he was with Denver, that he won all his acclaim. He had a decent Peyton Manning before he hit the wall,
Yeah, but you don't trade talent. You don't get rid of talent, and he does that everywhere he goes. He gets rid of the talent.
Yeah. I think Le'Veon Bell has not been playing because of the flu, and that usually tells you the running back isn't happy.
Right. He has spoke out 2 weeks ago about not getting the ball. He said, wait, because they asked him, why you got the worst average ever in your career?
Right.
He said, well, I'm not getting the ball. If you give me the ball, my average wouldn't be this low. You see what I can do if I get the ball. And they said, why aren't you getting the ball? Well, you got to ask the head coach. You got to ask the offensive coordinator. I don't. That's not my job to come out here and talk about why I'm not getting the ball. You got to ask them. So this been brewing for the last 2-3 weeks.
Right. All right, let's move on to the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Defeated the Indianapolis Colts. Jameis Winston threw for 456 yards. Now, Did our guy Jarrett Bell realize that this guy is the second leading passer in the NFL when we talked to him a couple weeks ago?
No, he was just having a little coffee. I guess that caffeine went to his head there, and he didn't realize that Jameis Winston has put up numbers like that, but he does lead the league in interceptions as well.
Right. He's got to take care of that football, but 456 yards. That's pretty amazing for a quarterback in production rise, right?
And Mario, but think about it. Why is the national media focusing only on his interceptions and not focusing on the numbers he's putting up overall?
I think you're 7 out of the 20 top quarterbacks in the league this year are African American. And
yes, they are.
That is a first. The top 2 are African American. So is that a reason? We need to ask. We need to find out. But I think Jameis Winston, if you look at his numbers outside of the interceptions, which are a problem, but his numbers, he has been a very productive passer this year. But it's so much so people are asking, should they, we had a question last week on the radio show, should they bring him back? I'm like, whoa, God, he's the second best passer in football. To me.
Why wouldn't you bring him back?
I mean, Josh Allen's 19.
Yeah, and can't throw the deep ball, can't complete anything deep. And you talking about bringing that. And keep in mind, he was drafted at number 7, and you had a guy drafted at number 32 just outshine you. He only threw for 145 yards, but one of them was a 61-yard touchdown pass.
And he had a quad injury. A lot of people didn't know that, but Lamar Jackson has a little bit of a quad injury coming into a very cold environment. I'm sure they had to probably keep him as warm as possible throughout that game.
Exactly, and I would, if I'm the Baltimore Ravens, after their next game, the Thursday night game, I would think about sitting him down for the next 2 weeks. And
absolutely,
let RG3 get some reps.
And I think it's definitely something to think about. I'd rather have him healthy going into the playoffs rather than dealing with a type of nagging injury. All right, your boys, the Denver Broncos, man. You've always said they got a good team. They beat the Houston Texans, who just can't seem to get on a roll. They win the big games. They beat the New England Patriots, and then come back and lose to the Denver Broncos.
And see, that's where Bill O'Brien keeps showing you year after year after year. All the years he's been down there in Houston, it's the same story. No matter who the team is, no matter how poor the team he's playing against, his teams always play down to his opponent. They always play down to the opponent, and they barely win, or they pull it out near the end of the game. But they made so many mistakes early in that game, with Denver being a 9 to 8 point favorite, depending on where you were looking at. Denver, they didn't even need 8 or 9 points. They ended up beating them by almost about 10, 14 points, and that's rare for an underdog to just beat a heavily favored team at home, beat them that badly.
And we need to move quickly. The Los Angeles Chargers defeated the Jacksonville Jaguars. Jaguars, I think Doug Marrone is going to be looking for a job. They beat the Jacksonville Jaguars 45-10. The Tennessee Titans defeated the Raiders 42-21. Titans have played well coming down the stretch. They're still in the thick of things since they benched Mariota. Looks like Ryan Tannehill has ignited that team. And they're right back in the thick of things. The Pittsburgh Steelers defeated the Cardinals. That's the next Bills opponent. And we have the Los Angeles Rams. That game was surprising. I thought the Seahawks would have played better, but they defeated the Seahawks 28-12. And the Eagles came from behind to beat the New York Giants on Monday night 23-17. Now we need to move into next week's games. Everybody needs to get their pens and pencils out. George, we're going to start with the Thursday night game. The New York Jets at Baltimore. Baltimore coming off a big win against the Buffalo Bills.
Take Baltimore. Jamal Adams is look like he's going to be ruled out of that. He's not going to be able to play. Jamal Adams, the heart and soul of that Jets defense. In that secondary, they're going to be able to the Ravens going to take advantage of him not being there and be able to probably beat them by 10 points or more.
Tampa at Detroit.
Ooh. Tampa's on the roll right now. Detroit is not. Take Tampa in that game coming up. Tampa should cover that.
Philly at Washington. Big game for Philly.
I don't know what to think of them. They play so they're another team that plays down to their competition. They waited around. They kept the Giants in that game Monday night. I thought the Giants might pull it out, and I think you're going to see the same thing Sunday. Washington will hang around, and you'll see Philly. I have enough faith in them this week that Philly will pull it out and win that one.
Chicago at Green Bay.
Oh my goodness! Probably might have some snow at this game. Should be an interesting contest once again. But I think the Packers, and keep in mind the Bills' ex defense, Mike Patton, he's doing a fantastic job with that defense. And their defense is sturdy. They're hitting people. They're playing fast. They're playing physical. Take the Packers because now Trubisky. Watch Trubisky come back from those 3 touchdowns, and he probably won't throw 1 touchdown in the game. He'll probably turn the ball over a few times up there at Lambeau Field.
New England at Cincinnati.
New England will cover this one. New England will, enough said, New England will take care of Cincinnati.
Tennessee at Houston. Big game.
Oh, wow. That's a big one right there. Boy, that's a big one there. Tennessee, I'm looking at Tennessee beating the Texans because the Texans, they play each other tough. It's a divisional game. And keep in mind, Tennessee wins this game. Buffalo loses. They'll be tied with Buffalo. Buffalo still has the upper hand because they beat them. But then Buffalo plays New England the following week. If Tennessee wins out, Tennessee will take over Buffalo's position for the playoffs.
Right. Yep, they sure would. All right, Seattle at Carolina.
Seattle, Carolina done busted in. I don't think our guy Perry Few got those guys on the same page. So those guys running for the bus, and they ready to head home and do something at home in the winter season and get ready for OTAs. Take Seattle in this one.
Denver at Kansas City.
This should be another physical contest. Denver's playing much better. Look for KC to win this one. And the thing you look at this game is how long will Mahomes stay in the game? He has a bruised hand. We already know about his knee, having trouble with that knee. He's beat up. Kansas City's going to have to think about that, not playing him pretty soon in these next couple of games. But they need this game Sunday. I think Kansas City will defeat the Denver Broncos.
Miami at the New York Giants.
Oh, that's another one. Miami going to play tough, but I think the Giants will pull this one out.
All right, Jacksonville at Oakland.
It's the last game ever to be played at the stadium at Alameda County Coliseum. And a lot of fond memories. I have a lot of great memories of watching games there. Ben Davison and Otis Taylor, all the great players. Phil Villapiano, Willie Brown, seeing all the great Raiders play. I'm sure a lot of those guys who are living will come back to the event this Sunday because they're having a big thing out there. Take the Raiders for sentimental value. The Raiders will win this last game ever played at the Coliseum.
Cleveland at Arizona.
Cleveland at Arizona. That should be an interesting contest. I would not be surprised. I'll go with the underdog. I'll take Arizona this week. Cleveland it's something about Baker Mayfield. He's very cocky, and he's not producing. He's doing a lot of talking, got that pride. Every time you turn the TV on, he's on a TV commercial, but he's not doing it on the football field. I think take the upset with Arizona.
All right. We have Atlanta at San Francisco.
Atlanta at San Francisco, take the 49ers. They are losing Richard Sherman for a few weeks. That's going to hurt them. They lost their center, too. They lost a couple guys in that game down there in New Orleans and where they came back in that. So they dinged up pretty good, but take San Francisco in this contest.
We got to move quickly. The Rams at Dallas.
Rams at Dallas, take the Rams. Dallas, I think they done packed it. They running for their defensive guys are running for the bus.
Minnesota at the LA Chargers.
Oh, my God. The Chargers drew a tough schedule this year. Minnesota out there at the Chargers will be a very good game. I look for Minnesota to win it in the end.
All right. We have Indianapolis at New Orleans.
Indianapolis at New Orleans should be a good game, but I think New Orleans has enough. And if you're betting this game, take the over again because I think New Orleans defense is suspect. Without Marcus Lattimore out there right now being injured, take the over in this contest.
All right. This is the game right here for the hometown people. Buffalo travels to Pittsburgh on Sunday Night Football.
Back on net TV once again. Take a look. The Bills going out there to play hard against the Pittsburgh Steelers defense. That's very good. The Bills defense is very good. This defense is better than the Ravens defense. Their secondary is with Micah Fitzpatrick and Joe Hayden. I think Allen is he's a deer in the headlights. They're going to throw things at him that he didn't see last week against Baltimore, and he's definitely not going to see him this week. Take the Steelers romping all over the Bills, 24-10. Steelers will blow the Bills out this week.
All right, the Rad Man has called for a Steeler beatdown of the Buffalo Bills in Pittsburgh. Also, too, there's these people on social media saying that there's a lot of Bills fans going to the game. I don't care how many Bills fans are going to the game. You are not, and I repeat, you are not taking over Heinz Field. It's not going to. Would you tell them, George, it's not going to happen?
Who said that? They actually said, somebody actually said something as ridiculous as that. They got one of the best followings in the entire league. They took over the Arizona Stadium. I mean, it looked like it was 90% Steeler fans with their pom-poms out there in Arizona, and they definitely gonna be at home. And you go up there with that Bills jersey talking stuff, you're gonna be some fisticuffs up in the stands too. You go out there talking that nonsense that you be talking when you go to these other stadiums. You ain't gonna be able to talk that and walk out there without throwing some punches at the stadium there.
Last minute, George, Mike Tomlin, Coach of the Year. What do you think? I think this is a great coaching job with everything this guy's been through this year. To me, he's my Coach of the Year.
Definitely. He's limited the guys throwing to Devlin. They call him the duck guy because he's a duck caller, the quarterback. He's done great jobs with that offense, and he's had 3 or 4, 5 different running backs. He just keeps it coming, keeps it simple, doesn't allow the guys to stay in their lane, do what they have to do. He coach them up, and that quarterback, what he does is he has a touch. He gets the ball over the defender and gets the ball to drop in, something that Josh Allen, and you could almost argue this guy is better than Josh Allen because Josh Allen can't complete the deep ball. This guy can.
Right, absolutely. All right, thanks, George Radney, the Rad Man. This is our portion of Pro Talk here with the Mighty Open with George Radney. He is our NFL insider. Make sure you tune in to us on 105.5 The Beat every Saturday morning at 7 a.m. for Pro Talk Plus. That's all for us here on Pro Talk with the Mighty Oba. Thank you.